The week beginning Sunday, the 22nd of February 2026, will bring some creative flow, even spiritual connection, and the need to fix up an error from the recent past. The end of the week could also bring a hard challenge that you need to overcome. In this video, I'll talk about the transits of the week ahead one by one and how they'll influence moments in time, people's moods around you, decision-making moments as you go through the week, just the general energy of the week. Welcome to this video. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar, and in this video we're going to look at the weekly astrology. I will do another video that'll come out tomorrow about the Mercury retrograde that starts this week. That is bringing the need to fix up errors and mistakes from over the last few weeks, and that will be right until March. In tomorrow's video there will be a sign-by-sign breakdown, but in this video it's a little bit shorter, just going through that general energy of the week with the transits one by one. I'm going to start by looking at the phase of the lunar month that we're in. The waxing and waning of the moon is very fundamental. And then I'm going to do an overview of the week, look at the chart of the week and where the planets are at the moment, and then go through those transits one by one. And you can jump ahead to any point in the video, the chapters, using the timestamps. Okay, to tell you a little bit more about myself, my name is Fiona Ingram. I am based in New Zealand, but this astrology is for the whole world. It affects us all, only the seasons are opposite and the times are not quite the same, but they are within 24 hours. I make calendars like this one. This one is for Australia, called the Australia Sun and Moon Calendar, and this one is for New Zealand. This is called the New Zealand, I'll just move the plant so you can see the shape. The Aotearoa Sun and Moon Calendar, and they use lunar months, and they're packed with information using Australian and New Zealand times and Australia and New Zealand animals and plants. And one day I hope to do planet calendars for the rest of the world, so look out for maybe the moment when I can make that happen, hopefully working towards it. Okay, so as I use Western tropical astrology and whole sign houses, but as I said earlier, in this video I won't do a sign-by-sign breakdown, so this is a quicker video, and in tomorrow's video there'll be a sign-by-sign breakdown about Mercury retrograde. So let's get into it. So for the week beginning the 22nd or the 23rd of February, these were the titles that I was thinking of to sum up the energy of this week. Creativity and empathy. That's because there are a lot of planets in Pisces, and there's a lovely trine to Jupiter with those. And then hard truth, because during the week, later in the week, next Friday or Saturday, we have a square between Mars and Uranus, and that's going to bring some hardness, the need to be very rational, to be facing up to something that is a difficult truth perhaps, or to perhaps some conflict. Okay, and then so also I tried hard challenge, gentle flow, truth bombs, and creative flow. These were my playing around with the titles, so you'll see which one I chose. So now looking at the phase of the lunar month that we're in. Well, last week we had the solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius. I hope that if anything disruptive and sudden came along, that you do see how that change is helping you on your soul's journey. And you can learn more about that in my video about the eclipse that came out last week. I can't remember, it's called something like Fated Beginnings, Fated Ending, something with fate or destiny in it. Okay, it came out last Sunday in New Zealand time. All right, so we're in the lunar month of Aquarius, and the moon is waxing. After new moon, the moon gets bigger and bigger in the sky. It's time to start projects, to sow seeds, to get things going. That is what this waxing phase of the lunar month is all about. Okay, we're in the lunar month of Aquarius because that new moon was in Aquarius, but a couple of days after that new moon, the sun moved into Pisces, so we are in the solar month of Pisces. And there, circled in what looks to me like a very bright purple is the week that we're looking at. That's the week beginning 22nd of February on Sunday if you're in like USA and Canada, maybe England, and then 23rd in New Zealand or Australia, and then going up to the 1st of March. All right, okay. So we had that solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius, and the sun is in the sign of Pisces, and we are heading towards the full moon. The moon is waxing, getting bigger and bigger in the sky, and the next time we have a full moon, that is on the 3rd or 4th of March, and that will be a lunar eclipse, and that will be visible in a lot of the parts of the world. So I'll have more about that in next week's video. All right, but so the moon is waxing at the moment. Start your projects, develop things. We are in the eclipse portal, or the eclipse gateway between the two eclipses, the solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius last week, and then the following week, in 2 weeks' time, the lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. Watch out for unexpected events that feel fated, that have a little bit of a tingly feeling about them, like it was meant to be, because those events could be significant and something to do with a change in your life that is an important development for your soul's journey. Okay. And now looking at an overview of the week. Okay, so here is that week laid out. We're starting on Monday or Sunday with Venus trine to Jupiter. That is rather lovely, expanding pleasure, expanding sweet connection, expanding even luxury. Okay, and because Venus is in Pisces at the moment and Jupiter is in a water sign, perhaps you are enjoying swimming and the beach, or walking along rivers, anything to do with water. Okay, we have the first quarter moon on Tuesday or Wednesday, so this is when the moon in its waxing phase gets to a square position to the sun. Yep, I'll talk about that soon. And then Mercury turns retrograde on Wednesday or Thursday, and then on Friday or Saturday, depending on where you are in the world, that is when a few things happen. One, Mars is square to Uranus, that's challenging. The Sun is conjunct the North Node, that's bringing about a little bit of extra fate and karma perhaps, and Mercury conjunct Venus. So we'll talk about those one by one. All right. Okay, but looking at the chart of the week here, I've chosen the chart for this week, the moment where Mercury stations retrograde, and you can see there I've circled in yellow, so I'll just bring the mouse over. Is the mouse? There's the mouse. Okay, circled in yellow at 22 degrees 33 of Pisces. That is Mercury retrograde at its station moment. Okay, but you can see also it's very close to Venus because they're coming up to a conjunction, and as Mercury goes back, it's going to go back to Venus. So Venus is also in Pisces at 19 degrees, nearly 20 degrees. And then also the Sun is in Pisces and the North Node is in Pisces. So yeah, there we go. We've got 3 planets, Mercury, Venus, and the Sun in Pisces, and the North Node is in Pisces. That is the eclipse point. So that's why we are having eclipses at the moment, because the Sun is working its way through that North Node. It's near to that point, and that means it will have eclipses. All right, so we are certainly in Pisces season. This is not quite as strong as that Aquarius season that we recently had, because when we had the planets in Aquarius, Mars was there as well. And you can see just up the top there, Mars is just behind. That's still in Aquarius. And Pluto was there as well. Okay, Mars will be moving into Pisces soon, actually. So we do have strong Pisces energy. All right. And then what else have I said? So one of the aspects that's happening this week is Mars square to Uranus. So you can see there, Mars is at 26 degrees there of Aquarius, and Uranus is at 27. That is going to be a challenging one. I'll talk about that when I go through each aspect. And there you can see the mini grand trine. I just chose crazy colors there. You can see that triangle shape of the mini grand trine That's between the slow-moving planets Pluto and Neptune and Saturn and Uranus. I have been talking about that so much recently. So if you missed the videos, these are the videos you can watch about it. Last week's video about Neptune conjunct to Saturn, all right? And you can see these here. By the time we get to this week, Saturn has just pulled away. Last week, actually the day this video comes out, on the Saturday the 21st is their exact conjunction. Such a major moment in history. You can see last week's video all about that. But you can also see in the weeks before a specific video on Neptune called Spiritual Warrior and a specific video on Saturn called Time to Grow Up. All right. Okay, so I wanted to acknowledge that mini grand trine that is playing out for us over these few years. Here we go into this week's transits. Well, on the day that this video comes out, it is actually the same day, in New Zealand at least, as the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that happens on Friday in some parts of the world and on Saturday in other parts of the world. This is very important, as I mentioned, and it's where this week coming up is the first week where we are setting out on that journey, that 36-year epic journey. All right. And then following that, on the Sunday or the Monday, depending on where you are in the world, we've got this lovely one of Venus trine to Jupiter. And what I said about it in the calendar there is pleasure and love feel expansive and optimistic. Venus is about pleasure and love and luxuries and the pleasures of the senses, actually material pleasures. So enjoying earthly pleasures like beauty and comfort and luxury and things that feel lovely. All right. And then Jupiter is the great benefic that expands, that loves to seek truth and higher meaning, and has this wonderful optimistic outlook. It can bring gifts of benevolence and generosity, and again, expansiveness and luck. Jupiter can bring opportunities and luck. So somewhere in the watery parts of your skies, because this is between Pisces and Cancer, there is likely to be some lucky thing that comes along. But even if you don't quite notice it, it's likely that you will be feeling pretty happy with this on this day, okay? That there'll be just some nice flow of pleasure and expansiveness there. So this could be a good day to make a date, walking by the sea or going swimming or doing some water adventure if that's what you like to do with somebody that you care about. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner, just somebody that you care about. Even if you don't have time for that because you're working so hard, you could have maybe a bath, or that could be just by yourself. Have a lovely time in the bath and maybe get a little bit more luxurious than you normally do, like maybe having some nice scents around, like candles and maybe some bubble bath or Epsom salt, something to make it sensually pleasurable. All right, so enjoy that, everyone. Okay, and then we have the first quarter moon. This is when, so we had the new moon last week with the solar eclipse, and they were together in the sky. And then the moon moves so quickly, the sun is still there, moving around a little bit at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 degree. Then the moon moves around, and it gets to the point where it's in a square position or at a square angle to the sun. And a square always brings a feeling of tension or some kind of challenge that needs to be overcome. And when we have that quarter moon in the sky, when you look up and you see that half moon shape that we call the quarter moon, that is where you're going to be having that feeling, wow, I've got to get on with my to-do list. If you set intentions for this lunar month that you need to be making progress on them, the tension will drive you forward with getting some of those things done. And because the moon is waxing, with getting things started, and you're in the growing phase with your projects that you want to develop. So that's for that, okay? And then we have Mercury turning retrograde. Mercury has been moving through Pisces very quickly, but then slowing down in the last few days, and it has reached at this point 22 degrees of Pisces, and it stations retrograde, and it's going to go back over the previous degrees until it gets right back to 8 degrees of Pisces. Now, what I wrote about that in the calendar was, I'll just show you the page. So, yeah, in the month of Aquarius, we've got Mercury stationing retrograde, and I've got it on there. Check your plans twice, fix mistakes, and be patient. And that is needed for the next 3 weeks while Mercury is retrograde. So in tomorrow's video, I'll go into detail about that and do a sign-by-sign breakdown so that you can see what part of your life this particular transit of Mercury retrograde is affecting. Okay. And that's just showing the degrees that it is going to be going through. So it went over 8 degrees of Pisces. Now it's at 22 degrees, then it's going to go back to 8 degrees and then finally move forward again until April or so. Yeah. Okay. And then we have the most challenging aspect of the week, and that is Mars square to Uranus. Okay. And this only happens once a year. This is a closing square, which only happens every 2 years. Mars is a planet of action and driving forwards and sometimes fighting and competitiveness, all right? And Uranus is a planet that will bring in sudden changes that are disruptive and refreshing and awakening, enlivening. But with the Mars there, that could mean that there's quite an energy of conflict and challenge, obstacles to be overcome with that square energy, okay? Uranus is very happy to be disruptive, and with Mars, it will be not an easy disruption, okay? Oh, and I've got the wrong description there, so please ignore that. I'm going to pause the video while I sort that out. So what I said in the calendar about that was Mars square Uranus, and that is correct on the slide now that you can see. Energy for innovative change. So Mars brings the energy. Uranus is also very energetic. Innovative change is Uranus. It's all about innovation, thinking outside the box, being unconventional and progressive, moving towards new technology and new ideas and new ways of thinking. Avoid pushing too hard. Mars and that square, the square energy and the Mars energy, both of those are likely to make us want to push hard, drive forward, and also feel perhaps quite stressed about the disruption and about the challenge, okay? All that we can do is to try to remain peaceful. As I said in there, avoid pushing too hard, especially avoid hurting people by being too pushy or wanting to drive forward too quickly. Try to make the changes that we need to, because it's likely that we do need to take some action. And remember that it's only going to last for a few days, perhaps 2 or 3 days. And then also on Friday or Saturday, 27th, 28th, depending on where you are in the world, we have the Sun coming up to conjunct the North Node, the eclipse point. It will be opposite the South Node. This might bring up further developments to anything that came up with the eclipse last week. What I said in the calendar was to think about over this day or so about aligning how you want to align, how you want to express your soul's purpose in the world. What do you feel inside yourself is the purpose for your soul for this incarnation on earth? All right, why are you alive? What do you deep in your heart and in your underlying self want to develop in your life? Okay, and I've said there, align with your soul's purpose through confident and creative expression, because that is the Sun. How do you shine in the world? Do you shine with all the joy and deep wisdom and pure, the pure essence of your soul. Think about how much you do that and how you could do it even more. And then finally, we have Mercury conjunct the Sun also on Friday the 27th or Saturday the 28th. Mercury will have moved backwards now to come into conjunction with Venus, not the Sun, sorry. So Mercury conjunct Venus. These two travelers with the Sun. These two are always going around with the Sun, especially Mercury is such a close advisor to the Sun. And now it's working its way backwards towards the Sun. But right now it's conjunct Venus. Mercury is about communication and expressing ideas and thinking and planning. Venus is about love, romance even, and also in general relationships, connections, and also money and finances and self-worth. So how can you bring these together? It's a great time to be communicating your ideas about relationship, about money, planning your budget, and also doing any of these could be revision because Mercury is going backwards. So we're revising these ideas. We're going back over things, all right? So it might be that you and your partner have been having some relationship talks or talks about how you want to work together or be together. This could be a business partner or a client, or it can be an intimate partner. And you're finding that you need to rethink some of those ideas. It's likely to go quite well. It's likely to go well because we still have that trine with Jupiter coming in and Venus is exalted in Pisces, all right? But there is some rethinking to do. So all the best for that. So that's it for this week's transits and aspects, but let's look ahead at the upcoming events on the 3rd or 4th of March. So that's next week. We have a lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. We've had so much energy in the quadrant of the chart with Aquarius and Pisces and Aries. So it's going to be a little bit of a fresh energy having some Virgo coming in. And then on the 7th of March, we have Mercury Cazimi. That is the center point of the Mercury retrograde where Mercury is exactly with the Sun. And then on the 10th or 11th of March, we have Jupiter stationing direct. And that means that some of the luck and opportunity that can come along in life that's been quiet for a while Jupiter's been retrograde, can get going again. And there could be some blessings coming our way with that. And so now to summarize this week and some guidance for the week ahead, we can expect that there's some lovely healing to be done perhaps, or creative flow with that watery connection with Pisces, and we can enjoy creativity, storytelling, empathy, and perhaps even spiritual connection and some healing. All right, but we may need to be going back over things because of Mercury retrograde, and it's like we've just started on that big epic journey following the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, but there's some things to fix up along the way. All right, and we will be required to take some direct and maybe dramatic, even competitive kind of action to overcome an obstacle or a challenge with the Mars-Uranus square. And we'll need to be taking care not to be too rough or too pushy, and to be peaceful as we do that. But we still need to overcome the challenge and to be prepared to step outside of our comfort zones. So good luck with that, everybody. All the best for the week. Look out for my video tomorrow about Mercury retrograde. Bye for now. And I forgot to say, please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. All the best from me, Fiona.